Hello grade 9, this is Mr. K, just going through your formative test so that you only have to go through the questions that you don't understand. So question 1, an aqueous solution is coloured. Which method would show that the solution contains ions of different colours? So chromatography is generally used to separate different ions or different molecules based on their solubility, and if they had different colors, perhaps they would have different solubilities and you would be able to see those different colors. Moving on, question 2, mixture 1 contains sand and water, mixture 2 contains salt and water, so you have to get a combination of which for the methods of separation for each of the required products. So for sand, if we can rule out both A and B because we wouldn't use crystallization, and again for the salt we wouldn't use filtration, so straight away we know it's not A and B, so we're going to be deciding between C and D. Now filtration for the sand, and in mixture 1 filtration will also obtain the water. You don't need to do this distillation here. For mixture 2, this is the indicator and the confirmation. We obviously need crystallization to get the salt, so evaporation and then you crystallize, crystallization. But if you did evaporation, you wouldn't keep the water, so to obtain the water you would have to do distillation, because obviously evaporation, crystallization, you lose the water, you only keep the salt. So your final answer would be D. Question 3. Methanol and ethanol are miscible liquids, so this means that they mix well, essentially, to produce a homogeneous mixture. Which diagram shows the apparatus? This should be B. A is separating a insoluble solid from a solvent. C is just evaporation. D looks like we're trying to collect a gas over water, so it's a gas collection method, and B would allow you to collect one of the alcohols before the other by only heating it to a certain temperature. So this is going to separate them based on their boiling point. Question 4, solid W melts at exactly 54 degrees C and boils at exactly 302 degrees C. Solid X, when dissolved in water and examined using paper chromatography, shows a blue color and a red color. Which row is correct? So from the headings here, contains only one substance is an indicator of W because it has an exact boiling and melting point, meaning it's pure. So the only one which has just W would be this one. And X shows a blue and a red color, so it's impure, or we've got two different substances there, so it contains more than one substance, would be X, leaving B as my final answer. Which two methods can be used to separate salt from its solution in water? So this would be crystallization and distillation. Sorry, I read those the wrong way around. Crystallization and distillation. Chromatography won't separate them. That separates things based on their solubility, generally inks. Filtration separates an insoluble substance from a solvent. So 1 and 3 would be B. Question 6, the diagram shows separation of ethanol and water using fractional distillation. So your first one would be distillation. Fractional distillation is used to separate a mixture of alcohol and water. The temperature at the top of the fractionating column is lower than the temperature at the bottom. The more, I think this is going to be volatile, so We'll pencil that in. The more volatile liquid evaporates and moves further up the column. So volatility is if something is volatile, it turns to a gas more easily. So essentially would have a lower boiling point. Or not necessarily, it could evaporate off earlier if evaporation occurs. So if something is volatile, it can evaporate or boil at a lower temperature and turns to a gas. I'm going to change that lower boiling point and just turns to a gas more easily to essentially encompass vaporization. Evaporates and moves further up the column. It eventually reaches the this is going to be the condenser. So this thing is the condenser, or where the state, or where the vapor changes to a liquid. Next question. Complete the empty boxes to name the piece of apparatus. So it's not the process we're looking for. Name the pieces of apparatus. So this looks like it's pointing to the funnel and not the filter paper. This looks like a glass rod. This looks like an evaporation basin. What name is given to the separation method A? This would be filtration. Which apparatus would be most suitable for obtaining crystals from an aqueous solution of copper sulfate? I assume it wants the setup. Which apparatus? And this will be C for the evaporation basin as you allow it to heat up. Question 8. Name this method of separation. This, of course, is chromatography. You're all doing a nice lab report based on chromatography, I assume. Draw a line on the diagram to show the level of the solvent at the beginning of the experiment. So generally speaking, your solvent, you might have it right at the start, but you're going to have it below the baseline. So this is for B. It can't be above the origin in this diagram. Why should a pencil be used instead of a pen? So this is quite simply to ensure no contamination, as the pen ink would run, whereas the pencil won't. The pencil will stay there. State one difference and one similarity between the coloured mixtures A and B. So one difference would be that B has this one, which is F. So B contains compound F, and a similarity would be they both contain E. Both contain E. You could have also said a difference being that A contains D, but B doesn't. Which substances are present in mixture A? So A has the mixtures. Well, we already know it's got E, and we already know it's got D, and then the final one is that it must have C. So A contains E, D, and C. C. Let's just confirm that. A moves along, it's got E. Moves along, we've got C, and we've got D. So C, D, and E, or E, D, and C. Perfect. So quickly go back through the video, and hopefully it's self-explanatory. If you need any further help, just ask. Thank you.